Hi everyone, my name's Stacy Penn. I'm with QSR International, the developers of NVivo. So while people are joining, I'll just go over some of the go-to webinar functions. So first off, everyone's muted just so it's easier so you can hear me, no background noise. Um, to get to the menu and get to question areas, there's on the top right-hand corner of your screen, there should be an orange box with a white arrow. If you click on the white arrow, it opens up the menu and you'll see a question area, so feel free to ask questions at any time. I won't most likely take them till the end. There's also a handout section, so I've uploaded the PowerPoint slides I'll be showing you today, so feel free to download those. I'll also be doing some polls just for fun to make it a little more interactive, and at the end there'll be a short survey if you don't mind taking that, just to help us know what other topics you might be interested in for webinars. Also, this is being recorded, so a few days after the webinar, you'll get a link to the recording too. So with that, I will get started. So again, my name is Stacy Penna. I'm the NVivo Community Director. I'll be talking more about the community later, giving you a little more information about that. So QSR, we've been working with qualitative researchers and qualitative data analysis software for over 30 years. We really are trying to be innovative, excuse me, innovative to help researchers with their analysis and really help throughout the research process. I bring this up because I found this really interesting that in the Scopus database, it's showing, I think it's probably more now because this was a couple months ago, that we have over 9,500 articles that have been published that reference NVivo, and we're the most cited QDA solution out there. Just so you know my background, I probably should at the beginning, I used NVivo for my own dissertation a few years back, and I did use it for my lit review and other things. So, and then I've been with QSR for 10 years. I like the software that much that I stayed. So our goal is really to help you throughout your research process, to help you collect your data, help you transcribe. That's what we're going to be concentrating on today. To manage, analyze, and visualize your data, to help you collaborate with colleagues and your research teams, and then also to publish your report, your paper, your dissertation, your book. So we're going to be concentrating on transcribing today, and to talk about how NVivo can help you not only do the physical transcribing, but really to help you analyze while you're transcribing. I'm going to talk about, why do you want to transcribe? So Judith Labadat here in this article talked about transcribing from the point of view of the positivism and from interpretivism. And so with positivism, she's talking about that the transcription is just a manual task. You're doing it verbatim, it's observable events. You want to accurately and completely capture the spoken word, and you're transcribing to transform the spoken data as written data, which can then be analyzed. Versus the interpretism approach is more theoretical construction. Talk is situated. It's influenced by context. You want to be critical with your reflection. You want to start a process reviewing, reflecting on the data. So you're analyzing while transcribing. And then many people are probably a muddle in the middle. She talks about where you're probably doing both here. There's also a good blog by our QSR research director, Silvana Di Gregorio, that talks about this more in depth if you want to check it out on our website. So with that, we also have like layers of transcription, and that's what Edwards talks about. And so with the layers, we have non-verbal, so the facial expressions and body movements that can give information to inform an interpretation. Silences may need to be considered and interpreted. And then you have your verbal, the sounds such as laughter and sighs, the tone of voice, the lengths of the pauses are picked up by the audio file, and that can enrich the interpretation. You have your contextual layer consisting of the environment where the interaction takes place. So what's the environment like where you're interviewing your participant or the focus group you're working on. And then embedded layer consists of the facial expressions and bodily movements again, which might be the nonverbal, but considering that. So, which of the layers you focus on depends on your purpose of analysis. So ideally, the researcher should see transcription as part of the analysis process and be able to be repeated listening to the audio so that the researcher can really immerse themselves in that part of the analysis. So what to transcribe? So you can, and now you're talking about the purpose part that we're just mentioning. So the content, you want to consider the content of the interviewee's story. How is the story told? What are there emotions involved? What is glossed over? What is not being said? And then also the underlying motivation for telling the story. Consider your purpose and approach to analysis while doing this, and so on. So, you have your textual information is not the only component, as we talked about, but what you transcribe depends, again, on your purpose here. And then we did our own research. We have a customer survey that goes out, and based on that survey, we're seeing how researchers transcribe. So first, we found that 77% of the respondents definitely transcribe audio or video. And then how long do they spend transcribing per month? So typically it's 1 to 10 hours, 44%, or it might vary based on the project. And then how do you transcribe your audio video file? So the largest number was myself, which I agree with. That's what I did with my dissertation. And then 36% said third-party service, 17% research assistant, 10% speech recognition software, and then 10% other. So just for fun, I'm going to have you do a poll. So I'm going to bring up the poll. You'll see it pop up in a second to see how you transcribe. So you'll see, so it's going to show, ask you, how do you transcribe your audio and video? What out of the choices I have listed, if you don't mind doing that. So so far the results say 14% speech recognition. Nobody uses a research assistant. That's interesting. 29% third-party service, and 50% myself, which is, yes, pretty common. So thank you for taking that. All right, you should be able to see my screen again. And then it's also, so we have a lot of different options out there that we just mentioned that you took the poll on. So you could play the audio and transcribe in Word. That's what I did. I had my little recording device right next to me. I kept stopping and starting and typing it in. So this can be awkward, and it can be difficult because you have to maybe set up the Word document a certain way if you want timestamps and speakers. And the cost time benefit, so it's a low cost but lots of time. And then another option is to outsource the transcription. So this can be useful for time, but again, the time cost benefit saves time, but very costly typically. So it could take a lot of money away from your grant funding or just yourself too, if you're paying it out of pocket. And you sort of lose control of some of that because somebody else is transcribing, so you're not hearing what the person's saying, where we're talking about the size or the tone, or if it's a video, the body movements. And then you could also use something like a transcription software like F4, and that's one way of doing it, but same thing, it probably doesn't cost as much, it saves you some time, but you're more removed from the transcription itself. And then some people use Dragon speak dictation software, which again takes a lot of time. I don't know the cost of it, but typically what you have to do is you have to listen to the audio and then speak into the microphone for Dragon to transcribe it, basically. So again, it's your voice instead of the participant's voice that's coming through there. And then lastly, you could use transcription software with automatic speech recognition, such as NVivo transcription. So I'll be showing that to you today. So in NVivo, I'm going to show you from the positivism's viewpoint. So you have two NVivo transcription options. So one in the software, I call it like a manual approach, because you import the audio, you listen to it, and then you type. So it's really like a transcription machine kind of software. You could even attach foot pedals to your computer and use it. The other option is the NVivo transcription web app, which is automated. So in that case, you upload the audio to NVivo. It gets automatically transcribed with the product. It takes about, so if you have a 60-minute audio, it takes 30 minutes to transcribe, so it's only half the time of the audio. And then you have an editor feature that can help you edit. But so you're still close to the transcript, but it's doing some of the work for you, or a lot of the work. And then I'm going to talk about how you can use NVivo from the interpretivism viewpoint, and really how NVivo can help you with the transcription layer. So how it can help you contextually. So, what environment are you in when you're interviewing someone? The embodied part, with the movements, the facial expressions here, the nonverbal, the size, the silences, and then the verbal, catching that. And so I'll go to the software now, and I'm first going to talk about the positivism point of view from the transcription options. So I'm in new NVivo. That I just want to show you a little bit of the layout here. So we have you have an account now with us. We have a getting started video. We have a good customer hub that's on our website that has a lot of great resources in it, and then NVivo Academy, where you can sign up for online classes. And we do have sample projects. So one is our multi-method sample project, one is our automated insights, and then we have three more, one on literature review, one on surveys, and one on mixed methods. So I'm going to go into this project that I've created for this, and just to have you get a feeling for the new NVivo. You can see we have our ribbon up here. It's much more modern looking, a little easier to find things. And our navigation panel now is broken up into 3 sections. So we have our import section that allows you to keep all your data in one place in files. We have an organize section that helps you organize your coding, your cases, your notes, your sets. And then explore section that's all about your queries, visuals, and reports. And then in the middle here is the workspace. So I'm going to be just concentrating about transcription. If people have questions later about NVivo and other parts of it, I'm happy to do that at the end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to import and show you how to transcribe basically what I call the manual approach. So I'm going to go to files and bring in Susan's audio file. And then I'll open it up. Now you can see the audio file here, and if I want to use the transcription manually, I can go to edit, go to audio, and you can see we have this button here for transcribe. So if I click on that and I start listening to it, this is the interview. You won't be able to hear it because of the GoToWebinar, but so that's the question that was asked. So I can pause it, and then I can put the speaker in. So that was the interviewer. And then I can continue to play, and then Susan. So on. Then I'll just put Susan here. And so that's one way I can, I literally listen, transcribe in NVivo, but then I have the audio and then the transcript right next to it. You can also make this a little smaller for speakers. So that's the manual way of doing it. Show you that. And then another way is to use the NVivo transcription web app. So to do that, I need to go to modules and go to transcribe. And so you can see I already had uploaded Susan's audio file here, came in, it's uploading, and then this one's ready to go, and I can select a language. So we have 28 different languages that this web app will transcribe. So I'm going to go to English, and then I'd ask it to transcribe. So when it does that, what happens is it will take me to the web app editor. Oops, here it is. And so if I go here, you can see I have a bunch of recordings I have up, and then I can go to, in this case, so I could go to Susan's here. You can see the languages. I could ask it to transcribe. It takes about half the time, like I said. So if you have a 60-minute audio file, it'll take about 30 minutes to transcribe. In this case, I'll just show you what it looks like with Helen's audio. So this is the transcript, and you can see I can put who the speakers are here. It's very easy to listen to it. I know you can't hear, but you can see it's following there. I can slow down the speed, which I'd probably need to help me with editing. And then I can put comments in or edit here. So those are the two ways in NVivo, very easy. And then I just want to say export this to a Word document if I need to if I want to bring into NVivo. If I have the latest version of NVivo, what happens is I'll show you what it looks like with Helen's transcript here. It'll actually come in. Oh, I'm sorry. No, I want to go to media file. That's just the transcript. So if I go to Helen's audio file, it'll come in, so you can see that it basically brought it in after I edited on the web app. It comes in with the transcription, the speakers, and the transcript itself. And then I actually could go here to ask it to, let me see, do I have to edit? Sync. No, I don't think I have to edit. And play, and then it will actually play and follow. You can see it's highlighted there, follow what was said with the timestamps here. And so that was just how I want to edit. That's from the positivism approach. And then if we go to talk more around the interpretism approach with the transcription layers, I want to talk about how you can use NVivo for a contextual layer, so the environment that you're in. So I'm going to go back to the software. And in this case, I'm going to open up Ken's video. So right in NVivo, I have the transcript here. If I want to capture something that's happening in the environment. So like, for example, you'll see in a little bit that there's a little dog's tail there. So maybe I want to capture that. So I'll just play it again. I'll play it, and when I see the tail, I'll click here, start, and then dog's tail goes away and stop. So I can capture that, and I've created a code structure based on the different layers: contextual, embodied, nonverbal, and verbal. So I'll go to contextual here, and I have it under environment, so I could create a new code, and I'll call it dog. And I can then bring that right into dog. Now maybe I want to type in here that, I can also edit right in the transcript by clicking on edit, and I might want to write something like that, and I can then even code the transcript too. so I can do it in different ways to get the environment. I also here, what I did is I coded the parts of the image, and to do that, what I did is I created a screenshot of the video here. So if I go to images, I'll bring that up. So I created a, a PDF with the image and then my notes here. And then that allowed me to sort of talk more about what was in the background, in the environment that I had interviewed him in. And so if I want to code here on the image, I need to change it from text to region. And then I can pick things. So maybe I want to grab the dock there. So I create a box around it, and then I'll just code to dock. I can also then code my comments sitting on a dock, because he was talking a lot about the water and he wanted to be interviewed by the water. That's how important it was to him. So that's maybe something that I wanted to sort of bring out in my analysis with the transcription. So something else also with the software, I can also create annotations. So let's say I'm in Ken's transcript here. Maybe I want to write a note to myself, like to remind myself, okay, this is really important to Ken. So I can highlight it, right click, and create a new annotation. So think of annotations as writing a little note to yourself on the margins of a paper. Ken focused on water quality, or whatever I want to write. And then what happens is I know this is blue, so if I click on it, it takes me to the annotation. Now you can also write notes if you want in the editor. So I'll go to Ken's, since we're talking about Ken. And if I want, I can also write notes here. So maybe I want to, something about the dog. So I have multiple ways of writing notes. So whatever mode I'm using for transcription, I can do that in NVivo. So that was really the contextual, and then the embodied. So if I want to capture the facial expressions or the bodily movements from Ken, again, I could do here body movements if I could do that with the video like I showed you, or if I had with the picture or with facial expression. So one thing I did is I captured the sunglasses here because more in the picture, because I couldn't see his eyes. So that sort of, to get the whole picture, maybe I would have noticed something if he hadn't been wearing sunglasses, but we were outside. So I coded the sunglasses here to show and then to talk about that too. So you can also, again, with the body movements, if you were with someone who was moving, or there was more action, you could also then with the video do that. With audio, to capture either the environment or the embedded body movements, I'm probably going to want to write a note to my, in a brackets, like in this case, maybe I'd write something like a table, or was fidgety during the interview. So again, then I could be able to take this and code it to body movements. So I'm using these codes because maybe I'm doing a lot of interviews, and that's something that I'm looking for. It's not just what they're saying on the text, but more around their environment, or their body, or the nonverbal cues they're giving me, or verbal. So if I open up, and I just want to show you what that looks like if I go here. So I did for the dog. So if I go to the dog to show you what it looks like in the code, show the video. So it's showing me the text that I coded there, but I can also go to the video and it will play back that part that I coded with the dog's tail. See, so again, if I had a bunch of videos, I would have a bunch of thumbnails here, and then also the references with the words. Now for and then again, so I did it in NVivo, but I could have also gone with embodied to go to the app and open up Helen's transcript here, and I could have written notes here too in brackets. Obviously, it just depends on, you know, how you're working. If you're using the integration, that you do have to have new NVivo to be able to have the integration part that I showed you, but you can have any version. I mean, you don't even have to have NVivo to use the NVivo transcription product. And then I also want to talk about nonverbal. So you might want to, again, bring up things that, you know, the silences. So that you could do definitely with the audio. So if I go to Helen's audio, I would listen to it, and, you know, I might want to capture, I made a note here, very serious about the subject. So maybe I want to capture sort of that tone from Helen. So I start, and then I'm going to finish the part where I want to capture, and then I'm sorry, I'm going to verbal here, so I should go here, and I can then do tone of voice, and then when I open that up, it's going to show me the parts that with the text, but it also will play back that the audio. So I had a few areas where I wanted to capture her tone of voice here, or if I wanted to do it by size or laughter, or maybe there's a certain dialect that I want to capture. So again, maybe there's silences. Maybe somebody has a lot of silence that I really want to capture. Wow, I interviewed this person, and it was so hard for them to talk about their story that there was, you know, 10 silences in an hour or something. I had to give them a lot of time to think about what they wanted to say and stuff. So again, it's just up to you how you want to capture that and think about it. So and then also with verbal, I just want to show you, you can also do sentiment analysis with NVivo. So maybe you want to pick up, was it positive or negative within what they were saying, and also show you how to code by speaker's name. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to these transcripts, and so I'm just going to pick Helen's, and I'll go to auto code here, and I can ask the software to identify sentiment, and it will code it by sentences or paragraphs, and I'll finish. So I get a visual showing me a lot of neutral, but positive and negative, and then I have a table that will show me, so most of it is in the middle, so no extremes here. And then to actually read it, I can go to sentiment and open this up and see what was moderately positive here. So, and what you're seeing is the part that's in the dark here that it picked up. So again, this might help you go through the, you know, pick up some of that kind of tone. Another way you can do this is if you want to do by speaker's name. So in Helen's transcript, you can see I've interviewed Helen. So maybe I just want to capture what Helen said instead of also what the interviewer said. So to do that, I just go to the transcript, highlight that, click on it, and then go to auto code. And in this case, I'm going to go to speaker's name, and I'll just have to type them in. So and then Helen. So you can see the difference in highlights, and then it's actually, let's give it a name, the classification, because it's going to put it in cases for me. So when I go to cases, I can see now it's broken up. So when I open up Helen, it's just going to show me what Helen said. So again, that just might help you with organizing and maybe running queries on things that just about Helen. So now another big part is you want to, excuse me, I just get a drink of water. Is think about the process and maybe of your transcription. So you might want to create a memo to help you keep track of that. So you can go to Memos here, and I already have a transcript memo, but it's easy to create a new memo. Just go there and click and it'll create one. So if I open this up, it's a way for me to sort of reflect on what I'm thinking about in my process, right? So one thing when I'm transcribing, I want to think of the process. So I just need to click to edit, and then I can start typing in it. So I might want to add another insert date time stamp. So yeah, I might just want to reflect on that. So I can do that in a transcription memo. A lot of times too, what I did after I did an interview, right after the interview, I created a memo, because again, if I'm doing audio and not video, I might want to capture the environment, the tone, what I'm thinking after it. So I can also, I'll create a memo. I call this, about Helen's interview. And that way I can capture, and I just like to I always like to add the date time stamp. And that way I can maybe say the environment was, in her house, so that way, so I don't have an image of the house, but I can describe it. So that way, if I want to talk about the contextual or the embodied or any of these, I can put it in a memo if I don't have it in the transcript. So that's another way to do that. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going just finish the PowerPoint and then I'll take questions. So as I just said before, the NVivo transcription web app can transcribe in 28 different languages. And what you would do is you create an NVivo account, and then you have access into transcription as an additional product. So you do have to purchase the NVivo transcription web app for that. Now we also have something that can help for enterprises or for organizations with the transcription. So what happens, maybe your university or organization would purchase the transcription with a subscription, and it's pretty much all you need for transcription for 12 months. And all they do is they purchase it, and then they invite people who need to use it to be able to access the transcription NVivo transcription product. And you can do allocate it by one user, many users, and you can see this was what the subscriptions look like. So this is a great way for organization. I think it'd save people a lot of money if they, instead of having everyone pay with grants, and you'd be able to save money with your grants on other things besides transcription. These are the security and privacy with the NVivo transcription web app, because it is in the cloud. So this is in the handout I sent you, and also we have a lot of information on our website. So data encryption in transit, data encryption at rest, data control, access to files, and then data sovereignty. So it is on the Microsoft Azure public cloud in 4 locations. So the US, Canada, Singapore, and the EU. We are GDPR and HIPAA compliant too. And so just to talk about the overall solution. So again, to help you collect your data, we have NVivo integration with Office. To help you transcribe, we have NVivo transcription. So with the cloud, you can pay as you go, or there's unlimited use. I'm going to talk more about that in a second. We can help you manage and analyze your data with NVivo Desktop. We have a Windows and Mac version. To help you collaborate with your research team, we have NVivo Collaboration Cloud and Server. And then to enhance your learning, we have our NVivo learning journey. So we have a NVivo user certification coming out later in May, one-on-one coaching and on-site workshops. Now for the NVivo transcription web app options, you have two options as an individual. Is you could pay as you go. So these are meant for small batches, so 1 hour to 10 hours of transcription you need. You can directly transcribe with the new NVivo. So if with the version I just showed you, that integrates with the NVivo transcription web app, or you can export or import with the web app. So anyone can do that. So you just export to Word and then you import it into NVivo. And doesn't matter what version you have for that. For the subscription, the processes are the same, but when you buy it, it's unlimited access for 12 months. So you don't have to worry about how many hours. You just can use it all year for a year. And I don't know the price exactly, but it seems like it's a pretty good price point. And it's only one payment. And we do have a 15-minute trial, so it's fully functional. All the same processes work with the trial if you want to check it out. All right, so I'm going to do one more poll just because I want to go. So I wanted to ask so the manual comes with the software, right? That's the one that's like a transcription machine. The automated is the NVivo transcription web app that I showed you. So I'm just going to do the poll to see which transcription option would help you more with your transcription. So the manual, which is just an NVivo, and you type, or the NVivo transcription, basically cloud web app, or both, or neither. So far, based on what people said, they said 36% NVivo transcription cloud web app, or 57% both, depending on their situation, and 7% neither. So, all right, great. Thank you for doing that. So I just want to finish up the PowerPoint. These are the learning journeys that you can go through. We do have a lot on the customer hub that's helpful, on-demand webinars. So I'm in charge of the NVivo community, and this is really meant to connect with your fellow researchers. It's a global network within disciplines across organizations, really trying to create a community of practice with qualitative and mixed methods researchers. To join, you can email me, but also at the end we'll have a quick survey that will ask you, do you want to learn more or register for the community? Click on that and we'll send you some information so that you can join. Just some more upcoming webinars. So these are on our website under resources, live webinars. So we have one in June on explore and visualize your data, but we also have a panel of researchers, criminal justice researchers, that are going to talk about how they work as a team in the field. We also have many on-demand webinars under our resources tab, and these were done recently to help people during this challenging time where we have to work from home. So how can you do your field work, collect data virtually? So check these out, they could be helpful. Also, we have a new podcast, Between the Data. I interview different researchers about different methods they're using and just overall what they're working on. So those are all on a lot of different platforms now. And that's it. So what I'll do is I'm happy to take questions. So I'm going to go to questions here. I'm just going to keep my email in case people need to reach me. So let me, don't forget the handouts. In the handout, you can download it. So let me bring up the questions. So is there a manual transcription not transcribed through NVivo? So I showed you the manual way in NVivo, but there's always, you could have your audio right next to you and in a Word document. That's what I did because NVivo didn't have, I wish they had the transcription options when I did my dissertation, but they didn't have them then. Can you please show Oh, okay, so I did show, I think I showed everything. Since I come from the Department of Philosophy, I know the difference between, does NVivo help us in differentiation in our transcription and coding or not? Yes, it definitely helps you code your transcript. I'm not showing that. So let me go to NVivo. I can show some of that. I didn't show that today, and you probably know a lot more about those two terms than I do. So hopefully I did okay with them. I found it interesting. I learned a lot to organize this webinar about that. So if I go to Helen's transcript, for example, I can read through a transcript, and let me create another folder here. So I'm going to create a folder called themes. So instead of looking for my transcription themes that I had for contextual, embodied, nonverbal, and verbal, now I want to look for themes that I'm finding in the transcript themselves. So I can read through this, and she's talking about sacrifice for the sake, environment. So I'm going to create a code called environment. So I'm just going right click and open space and call, and click OK. And then it's up to me how much I want to code. So I'll just code this section, drag and drop, bring it into environment, and then that's in that code. So I could go through all my transcripts, sort of reading through them manually and looking at them. But I can also, another way, I can also use some of these tools under Explore. So I could do a text search, a word frequency. So I'll just do a word frequency to show you what that looks like. So there's a lot of tools in Vivo to help you code and analyze your data. So in this case, I'm just going through all my transcripts. I'm going to run the query, and it's going to give me a word, a list of words that are used. So that might help me jumpstart what I want to start coding. I can also, right here on the right, I have a word cloud, so I'll do that. I'll run. So I suggest, I'm just going, while that's running, go here. We have a lot of on-demand webinars. So one, even though it says what's new in NVivo, it shows you how to code all different types of sources. Also, we have one that is on content analysis. This is with NVivo 12, but the concepts are the same. That we'll talk about that. So I suggest like maybe looking at those, because this webinar was just on transcription. Does it transcribe recording in English or Arabic or other languages? So the languages are, which I brought up before, so you might have seen that. Let me just, and you have it in the document I sent too. So these are the languages. So obviously it's not, so it's Arabic Modern Standard. So, oh, I see you, so I answered your question. I noticed that there was a time limit remaining on transcription, or credits could be purchased. If the annual transcription add-on has been purchased, is there a limit to the amount of time that the audio can be transcribed? So we do, and I actually need to clarify this for myself, but I actually have a transcription it's saying, let me go back to my transcription. So if I go in Vivo, I actually got notice for this this transcription that I have seven days or it'll expire. So we don't hold it forever up in the cloud. So you want to definitely export these to a place to save them after you transcribe them, if you're bringing them into NVivo. But I definitely suggest doing that. So that's my understanding, that it is. I believe it's 90 days that we hold it from the time that you upload it. Is transcription available only in English or? Yeah, so I just showed the other languages. I'll bring that up again. Can one do the same for film? Or yes, as long as it's a video that NVivo can import, and you can go under help and find what video, it's pretty much all of it, video formats you can bring in. So the difference though with video, you do have to do it within NVivo here. So you see the word cloud came up. So under modules, you'd want to import the video file here and do the transcription through the NVivo itself. So at this point, the web app cannot do video, but it will do it through NVivo for some reason. So that's how you'd have to work with video. What version of Vivo do you need to use the manual transcription or method? So the manual that I showed you, which was, I did Susan's here, that is, and you can see it right here, that comes with pretty much all versions. I think 10 and up, I think 10 and up has this feature, I'm pretty sure. Does NVivo audio player sync with audio controls and a MacBook keyboard? I think it does, but you might want to go to help and look that up, but I'm pretty sure it does. So under the Indian philosophy, there are other schools for qualitative analysis. How can one use NVivo for these analysis too? I'd love to use NVivo for them. At the moment, I'm doing manually, however I want separately. So basically, think of NVivo just as a tool, like I showed you how to code. So it doesn't matter what method you're using for your research. NVivo is just a tool to help you with the coding and your processes. It does not dictate at all, sorry, how you have to do your methods. All right, so those are all the questions I see. So that's great. Thank you so much. I'll just bring up the PowerPoint one more time with my contact information in case there's a question you had that I didn't answer. But feel free to, if you have other questions, to contact me. But there will be a short survey at the end that will be helpful if you can finish it, just so that we can learn more about what other subjects you'd be interested in for these webinars. So thank you so much for your time, and please stay safe and healthy.